Welcome to another episode of The Collective Perspective. I'm here with my friend Rafael. We're going to talk about brands and branding and brand ambassadors.
Well, so I work for Redwood Brands. I'm a market manager in New York. I kind of handle most of the on-premise accounts in New York City and New York State. So we help kind of small independent brands accelerate into the market, whether it's like this ground sales to strategy to distributor relationships. So we're kind of trying to like help the small producers break into some of the other states and trying to like convey their identity.
Got it. So let's talk about brand identity. You help brands with their identity. Kind of tell me if you can kind of walk me through maybe the process of like what a brand should start to do in the beginning with brand identity, and then what does acceleration kind of look like?
Well, I feel like small brands always have this idea of New York being kind of a easier market than it is.
They think New York's easy?
That is, but I think like they sometimes underestimate what it takes to get into, in the heads of these bartenders.
Yeah.
Also, they have their list of the same places, and sometimes they don't necessarily are looking as a kind of healthy business, right? Because you could be in some of the top accounts, but also you're gonna need some traction to pay your bills, right? So finding that balance where you could convey your identity and what you try to project as a brand versus also being commercially savvy. So I think as a small brand, it's good if you have kind of a plan of attack and you have like your brand identity defined, and you convey that message. For example, in the case of the brand that we have, Mr. Black has done a great job with that element, right? They are focused on one thing only, which is coffee.
Right.
They're all things about coffee. They're very passionate about coffee. That roasters, that's the message they convey, and they are as honest and transparent as they go, right? As far as what the message is, right? For them is, okay, we're trying to bring you coffee, to the night, and people is familiar with coffee, so it kind of hits a lot of familiarity for people, so it's easy for the consumer to kind of click, right?
You and I have known each other for how many years now?
12 years.
12 years. Let's talk kind of personal or culture, community a little bit. Maybe you can kind of help me navigate the Hispanic professional in this industry, the progression, the evolution of the Hispanic professional over maybe the last 10 years and kind of what it looks like today.
Definitely has changed a lot, and I think for the better. There's definitely a lot more Hispanic professionals out there. Yeah. While 12 years ago there weren't as many, right? There was just we could kind of count them with two hands, right? In the sense of, the people that we were doing either programs for restaurants or, working for brands. So it's been really good that actually people has been a little bit more open and welcoming.
Why do you think the welcoming is happening? Any particular reason? Or
I think the times too, it's the same as women too have these great grow, and now you see a lot more of them in positions of power, which is amazing, right? And everything is just kind of for the better, and the more diverse I think companies are trying to be, I think the healthier it is for kind of business, and I think those are the times that we live now, right? Yeah. People is embracing that, but for the most part, always think people in the industry that are Hispanic, they kind of always got segregated into the barback or bartender, or if you were a barback and they were really good barbacks, then you didn't want them to leave because then we're gonna replace that really good barback, which is even more important than someone else. And in the brand side, I think a lot of them also got tasked with the Hispanic market or the
put into a category,
specific categories to try to reach out that consumer.
Right.
So I think now it's a little bit more welcoming of
Yeah.
And now I think we're in the times in the spirit industry where people is a little bit more knowledgeable about spirits. Craft now is a little bit more quantifiable, and people can question it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's almost you need to know what you're talking about of your brand, because now people is a little bit more savvy, right? And people is gonna ask you, and especially in New York, the type of buyer that go after craft brands, they tend to be a little bit picky and a little bit kind of passionate about spirits. So if you're not passionate about spirits, they're gonna just read through you.
Being a brand professional in this industry is all about relationships, right? As you're in this industry for over a decade, making friends, how do you become a supplier, your friend becomes a buyer? How do you turn that friendship relationship into a commercial sale?
Everybody that passes from the hospitality side into the brand side has almost a transition period where I think one of the first things that they notice is it feels a little bit weird to approach their friends now to buy your stuff, right? And a lot of people don't necessarily know how to convert those friend relationships into a business relationship. Which, yeah, you could be my friend. That doesn't mean that you're gonna buy my product. And kind of separating the two. And even though we're friends, having more of a kind of commercial conversation about the brand, while of course the relationship is gonna help, but it has to be the whole package, right? Otherwise it just becomes like a favor, is not kind of honest, and that just not gonna last. So you wanna build brands in a way that people really kind of believe in them. We are in a world of relationship, right? In the sense that brands are kind of navigating, and everything is pretty much relationship driven, right? So it does make a huge difference to have someone that, can build that relationship in an honest level and that care about the people, because I think that's another kind of mistakes that some brands make, right? Like they just try to push you to have the sale,
right?
But they don't step back a little bit and first get to know the buyer or care about the people, right? If you care about the people, eventually they will,
make the buy. How do you see the progression of today's ambassador or the brand professional, whatever, title you want to put on it, over the last 10, 12, 15 years?
So I think kind of the role of the brand ambassador had changed a little bit. And I think the times that we live now, the role of just the educator is gonna disappear, and you already start seeing it. I think like if you are part of the bigger companies, they're still gonna have that portion. But I feel in a crowded world where craft brands are just keep reappearing and keep like creating something new, you need to wear a lot of hats, right? And you need to be the educator, the passionate about spirits, but you also need to do the sell, because at the end of the day, you are there to help the brand grow. And a lot of people in the hospitality industry, they see these positions a little bit short term, in the sense of, I'm gonna be an ambassador, I'm just gonna do the education side, right? I don't do the sales. But they don't see the long term, right? Because you could be 2 years, 3 years into it, but if you don't have actually quantifiable results,
right,
the day of tomorrow that you sit with someone else and they're gonna ask you, what do you do? Yeah, great, you did education, you did events, but can you tell them from what number to what number you grew the brand?
Yeah.
And what actual tools you utilize to do the grow?
Right.
I feel if you really wanna be kind of like do a healthy grow in the brand side, you need to be also commercially savvy, because next time then you could like sit and have those conversations of like, okay, this is what we did with this brand, this is the case numbers that we start, this is what we finished, this is what we did in the market to get to that point. And then you have a lot more of a healthier conversation, and also give you a lot more leverage.
What do you look for? Say you want to hire an ambassador. Somebody in the industry is great, right? They've got that knowledge. They got to know about the product. But what are the sort of the intangibles, right? Those little things that people might not know that they should. Because I talk to people too. They're like, oh, I'm so smart at this, and I can educate. And you're like, ah, cool. That's like 4% of the job. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I know this person. I'm like, ah, cool. That's another 3%.
Yeah.
But like, what are those things that you can't quantify? Those intangibles that people will bring to a job that you might look for in somebody that you're like, oh, you're going to be great at selling. You're going to be great at marketing, etc., etc.
You still need that person that is gonna do the events and be active and do the 5 days a week, giving high fives and saying hello to everyone and sharing that love and being very active. Also, those positions, like once you have a family or kids or things like that, are not really as easy to do, right? And then that will burn you out, and it will create a lot of problems for your household.
Says the guy who has kids.
So you gotta modify your lifestyle, right? But you still need that person, right? You still need someone that is kind of out there. In the commercial side, you still need someone that's going to do the sale. And I feel for many years, you got companies that, let's say, hire the sales rep that don't speak to the industry, or they hire the industry vet that doesn't want to do sales, right? So I don't feel there's still a company that really has integrated two in a way that, you could really accelerate in a way that it's like, okay, you do the distribution side and you do the sales and you do the strategy, and we work with the founders and things like that. I think one of the parts that I love the most working for Redwood is like we do get to collaborate quite often with the founders, as you get to be a part of the growth of a brand, even if it's a small percentage, but you're like part of something that you're trying to create something special, and you believe in them and you believe in their brands, and you're trying to convey the two by educate, but also do the whole activation and marketing and all the other things that goes along with the brand. And having good people in the market also reminds people, you know, why they are kind of buying the brands. If you are an industry professional, that I know that for 10 years you were opening bars, you always kind of had a integrity behind it, right? When you approach me, I already somewhat trust you, you know? Otherwise I wouldn't take the meeting.
You have that built-in integrity. It's already built in. So you're like, all right, what are you selling? What's in the bag?
Exactly.
All right, so we talked a lot about the brand professional and brand ambassadors. So we were coming up, there seemed to be very few brand ambassadors, or there was a couple handfuls of them, but it seems like everybody sort of works for a brand today. What's your thoughts on that? The part-time brand ambassador?
Definitely full-time is a lot more effective. There's companies that have managed to, you know, do the 6 part-time brand ambassador and combine it with some social media exposure at the same time and things like that. A lot of those things are very short-term, right? So like you need someone to identify with the brand and the product and just keep riding the wave, because this is a game of like, you know, you plant a seed today and you might not see it in 6 months or a year from now. If the product is good, eventually, you know, they all catch on. I was actually like recently having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he described like the type of buyer in a perfect way. That is the revolutionary buyer, which, you know, I taste you get it, even though nobody has bought the product. You trust your palate and you like the brand. You're looking for that some esoteric or not esoteric, but it's like really great quality item, and you just do the buy, right? And then there is the evolutionary, as he put it. They're just waiting or need validation from their other peers to buy first, and then they catch the wave. I like it, but you know what? Like, I'm not quite sure. And then 3 months after or 6 months after, you know, like, oh man, I see you guys everywhere, right? It's like, oh, I love your brand, you know. And then they start putting it into it, but then it's like, yeah, but it's the same views, right?
Right.
Why did you decide to buy it before instead of like now? And it's funny how a lot of times it's almost like they need the core buyers to like embrace the brands, and then they just say, okay, yeah, now I'm in the boat because these guys are in the boat, right? Unless I really believe in the product and I'm passionate about it, I just can't stand behind it, right? Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's you, and you're putting all the effort for a brand that you believe in. You think that people should, you know, believe in it too.
Yeah, part-time versus full-time doesn't really, to you, depends on, you know, as a person, really depends on what you're looking for. As a brand, really depends on what your needs are, I guess, what it comes down to. Cool, man. I think that's it. Another episode. Appreciate your time, man. And
thanks for
having us.
me, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'll see you guys next time.